Howdy, I'm Grey Pilgrim. This is take two. Take one was interrupted by my cousin coming over. He gave me a nice Christmas present and a loaf of bread his mom baked. That's gonna be some nice cinnamon toast come breakfast tomorrow. Anyway, my last video I talked about the Steyr, the Austro-Hungarian cavalry pistol of World War I, and how it was chambered in a proprietary 8mm cartridge, and how it really wasn't that powerful. Well, they also decided they needed an army pistol. And the army pistol, well, they decided it was the Steyr just wasn't what they wanted. So they had a committee decide on what they wanted. And they looked around at the various pistols that were being used by the various armies at the time and the various developers. And they had a hankering for what this fellow named John Moses Browning was up to. He hadn't developed the 1911 yet. He was working on other designs, but they liked it. But they didn't like it completely. So they got their committee to put together some arms makers and design a new pistol. This is sort of like what the Germans did in 1888 with their commission rifle, where they got a bunch of people together, design a rifle by committee, and it came out just as you'd expect. What was it Robert Heinlein said? A committee, the only life form ever invented with 1,000 or 500 or more legs and no brain. It's true. Anyway, that was such a disaster that they went over to this fellow named Mauser and had him design one, and they ended up with a Gewehr 98. Very good rifle. Anyway, in like manner, the Army Committee, or Commission in Austro-Hungarian, decided on a pistol. And this is it. This is the 1912 Steyr. Not Steyr, Steyr Hahn. Steyr Hahn means Steyr with a hammer. The Hahn means hammer. That's what we call it. They just called it the 1912 Army pistol. This is a Indian-made holster that's exactly like the ones that they used. This pouch is for holding extra ammo. And I happen to have some factory Steyr ammo. 9mm Steyr is almost like 9mm Bergmann Bayard or 9mm Largo. Two different names for the same cartridge. 9x21, I do believe. But the thing is that the Largo has a slightly different taper than the Steyr. Some loose Steyr pistols will handle Largo. I had another one that did, but I gave it to my cousin. This one will not, because it's extremely tight. Matter of fact, I'm not going to be disassembling this one because it's so dang tight. I always have trouble getting it back together again. This is what a Steyr stripper clip looks like. Actually, as a shorty, this is a long one. This is the proper stripper clip for a Steyr, with the proper bullets and proper cases in it. A modern ones, you're going to see, regular brass full metal jacket sort of rounds, but you're not going to see this. Anyway, you'll notice that it has a similarity to an original Colt, say a 1902, 1908. Go watch Othnius, his series on a Colt, and you'll see that they have this cross pin here to hold the barrel and the slide assemblies together. But unlike Browning and the various versions of the rocking link to hold the barrel, this uses a rotation system, which was designed by Karl Krenke. But his name never appears on this, even though he was a member of that commission. And he did some interesting design work. To cock this thing, well, you can cock it. It's a single action, but this is how you, oh, come on now. There. That's fully cocked. It has a stripper clip guide here. Actually, let's see. Heck. This is a late production Steyr, or excuse me, Steyr Hahn. It was made in 1918, near the end of the war. By the way, both the Rothsteyr and the Steyr Hahn are marked either Win or BP. Win means is Austrian for Vienna, and BP is for Budapest, depending on whether or not it was made in the west or the east. Remember, the Austro-Hungarian Empire was just that. The emperor of the empire was also the king of Hungary. And therefore, since he held two crowns, he had to have two courts. And that means that anything that was done in Vienna had to be duplicated in Budapest. So they had an armory in both locations. They had troops in both locations. They had different uniforms, different similar but different arms. For instance, they had a carbine in the Hungarians that they used. It was slightly different than the one that the Austrians used. They're both based on the M95, I think it was, 1895 Mannlicher. But anyway, there's a funny button right here that if you push it down and there's any bullets in here, you can eject them all. This is the safety, and it also it works as a slide lock. But oh yeah, how about that? I got it on. Usually I can't get this to engage, but if you pull back, push down, and pull back, it's supposed to go like that. This thing, as I said, it's extremely tight, and the other one was really wobbly and loose, and would handle just about any ammo. I even shot a 9mm Parabellum through it, and it worked. It wouldn't cycle the brass, but it worked. And this thing, but I don't know if this has been reworked or what, but it has a beautiful finish on it. And oh heck with it. Oh, there we go. Anyway, it's a beautiful pistol, old world, extremely overcomplicated in its design. The recoil spring is on the slide, and it's underneath the barrel. And the barrel itself, as it moves back, it pivots like this. The only other one similar to this, well, the Rothsteyr does it, would be the 1907 Savage. But it's a rotation, hesitation, blowback sort. So they think, because on the Savage, the rifling goes in a different direction than the rotation. So that they figured that the rifling against the rotation would lock it for a moment and until the gas is expelled. This one, it works because it's rotating completely. Oh well, I think it's much more than 15 degrees or whatever the Savage is. This has a almost full, well not full, but like a 90-degree rotation. It's pretty severe. If you're ever taking a Rothsteyr, or I mean a Steyr Hahn, I think, yeah, the far grip on the Rothsteyr works the same way. You'll notice this pin down here that goes all the way through. It's a screw. Take that screw out and do not lift these pieces off. They slide out this way. This thing holds them in place, but they slide out. There's a very, very small little ledge there, and many of these were completely destroyed by people with a screwdriver trying to pry the grips out. You don't do that. You slide them. These grips are well over 100 years old, and they're in perfect shape, which makes me think it was probably reworked and at least recheckered or something. But and the bluing on this is just stunningly beautiful. Anyway, a 1912 Steyr Hahn. What we call a Steyr Hahn, what they call the army pistol. Just to complete my Austro-Hungarian roundup, as it were. You know, I try to have military arms from a company, or a country, I mean, that some countries that still don't exist, you know, like this. And this was, by the way, made at Steyr. That's the where the Austrian ones were made. The Budapest ones, I don't remember who ran that particular armory, but I think it was the state armory there. There are very few of the Budapest ones in existence. Most of those went to the Eastern Bloc later on. Some of these were reworked into 9mm Parabellum, I think they were sold to the Bavarian police force for their guns. And the only difference between the two is if you disassemble it, there's a marking on the barrel itself that says 9mm or 9mmP. And that's the only marking on here you'll find that says that this is not in 9mm Steyr. Steyr ammo was made through World War I and has not been made since. So that's a bit of a rarity. I've got 2 boxes left, plus a few spare stripper clips. I also have a bunch of brass that I got from Starline, and I've loaded them up with 9mm bullets and a pretty good powder charge. I use a 9mm guide, a 9mm repeat guide to load these, because there is no loading data for 9mm Steyr anymore, or Largo for that matter, that I can that I've heard of. I have some commercial 9mm Largo, and like I said, it would shoot in the other Rothstar, but not this one. Anyway, that's all I got to say. Happy trails.